Hi people, Dr. Mitch Rosala here. In today's episode, we're going to discuss how to make a teaching portfolio. This teaching portfolio is actually the final output for our LDM course 2. But before I share the example of a teaching portfolio, let me discuss to you the definition of a teaching portfolio. What are the steps in preparing a teaching portfolio? And the beauty of having a teaching portfolio. So everything, I got this from the Washington University in St. Louis Center for Teaching and Learning. So the website is being flashed here on screen, and I got it here from that website of Center for Teaching and Learning. First, what is a teaching portfolio? A teaching portfolio is a collection of documents prepared for the purpose of applying for academic jobs and documenting professional developing and teaching. So again, I got this definition of teaching portfolio from Washington University in St. Louis Center for Teaching and Learning. A teaching portfolio provides a record of the ideas and objectives that inform your teaching, the courses that you teach or are prepared to teach, the methods you use in your teaching, your effectiveness as a teacher, and how you assess and improve your teaching. Likewise, the teaching portfolio documents your expertise in teaching. A teaching portfolio is a selective collection rather than a comprehensive holding place for all your teaching materials that best illustrate your teaching approach and methods. A teaching portfolio must be well organized, clear, polished, and tailored to the specific position. Consider your teaching portfolio as a work in progress that you will continue to revise throughout your academic career. What are the steps to guide your process of preparing a teaching portfolio? Number 1, collect teaching materials as you gain experience. Number 2, reflect on your teaching. Number 3, select materials to include in your portfolio. Number 4, organize your portfolio. And number 5, share your portfolio. In this slide, you will see bubbles. Again, this reflects the steps to guide your process of preparing a teaching portfolio. First is to collect. What are the things that you're going to collect? All of the learning materials that you prepared, maybe the document of you teaching in front of your students, and when you collected all of those evidences that serves as that shows your expertise in teaching, you may reflect on your what? On your teaching pedagogy or teaching methodology or teaching philosophy. And then after that, you have to select from all the materials that were gathered the things that could be part of your e-portfolio. And then once you decided what should be included, then you have to organize your portfolio. And of course, once you're done with your e-portfolio, you can share it to the public or to your colleagues. So everything from the definition, from the steps in preparing an e-portfolio, and the beauty of doing a teaching portfolio, I got this from the Washington University in St. Louis Center for Teaching and Learning. As you can see in this slide, the website of the school. Okay, so the sample of a teaching portfolio. The sample that you are about to see is actually the final output that I submitted in our LDM course 2. So here in this slide, you can see the logo of the school, and then the logo of the division, and then the logo of the region, and of course the logo of the Department of Education. Aside from that, you can also see the title of the portfolio. So it says here, Learning Delivery Modalities 2, LDM2 Course for Teachers Portfolio. So who is the author or who is the owner of the portfolio? That's me, Dr. Michelle M. Rosella. And I also included there as the LAC facilitator and member of the DIH's LDM2 Team 27, Group Number 2. So, of course, the LAC leader's name is reflected here. In our case, the LAC leader is Miss Wilnelia Balington, and our coach is Mr. Freddy Bobiles. And I submitted this e-portfolio last September 18, 2020. So as part of my e-portfolio, I decided to include a quote. So I got the quote from Worth Sharing. So let me read the quote. When life is difficult and when everything turns bad, always remember that even a tortoise can finish a race as long as he never gives up. So it's always been my motto, never give up and never ever quit. Okay? So you may include the quote or you may not. Another slide that I included is the details. Me being the LAC facilitator, so I guess I could or I should include that in my e-portfolio. So for my portfolio also, there's a slide for the table of contents. For the table of contents, as you can see, I started with Module 1, the course overview. Module 2, most essential learning competencies or the MELCs. Module 3A, lesson design and assessment in the modalities. Lesson or Module 3B, learning resources. For Module 4, planning for continuing professional development and LAC planning. And Module 5, the building teaching portfolio. Actually, for Module 5, this is where we are being taught how to prepare a portfolio. And the e-portfolio or the portfolio per se, the teaching portfolio is actually the final output for the LDM2 course. So for Module 1 course overview, there is an activity 1 entitled LDM course overview reflection. So what's the direction? Read the LDM course overview, reflect on the overview by answering the following questions. Write down your answers on your study notebook. So for number 1 question, what is the main delivery of this course? My answer, this is a blended learning modality since we have a task-oriented course that combines guided study using self-learning modules, which were all uploaded in the Google Classroom, and there is a co-learning and collaboration through the Learning Action Cell, or the LAC, which will be done online. For question number 2, how can this course help ensure that you will be able to deliver quality instruction in the new normal? So my answer there, the course could help us teachers to learn what is the appropriate LDMs that we could provide with our students in order to achieve the goal of education, which is to continue the learning process despite the COVID-19 pandemic. For question number 3, what are the 2 support mechanisms that will help you with your learning in this course? The answer, there are 2 parts in this course that will help the teachers. The first part is a preparation to teach in the LDM, which gives the participants modules, videos, and other learning materials. And there is the second part, which is a practicum part, where the LDM is being implemented and doing the portfolio building. For activity 2 under module 1, the question, how will my personal characteristics and circumstances affect my participation in this course? So my answer, I am very much willing to participate, learn, and apply whatever learnings that I will have in taking this course. Number 2 question, how can I ensure that I am able to sustain my strengths and address the obstacles that will hinder me from completing this course? So for the habits, of course, I know that I am a responsible individual. I'm happy to work from home, and I have this willingness to learn, and I'm open to new ideas. The only obstacle that I can see is if there are brownouts in the area or in my place. The motivation, I guess I believe that I am highly motivated. I do have a positive outlook in life, and I'm looking forward to new learnings. The environment, I can say that I have a comfortable, conducive workstation at home, and of course, I do have a stable internet connection. For Module 2, the most essential learning competencies or the MELCs, there is one activity, the background rational development of MELCs. So the question there, the closure of schools around the world due to the global pandemic posed serious challenges to the delivery of quality basic education. As a teacher, what do you think are the fundamental concerns in terms of curriculum standards that need to be addressed in order to ensure learning continuity? Cite a specific example. Do you think these concerns could be solved by teachers alone? Why or why not? My answer there, I think one of the fundamental concerns in terms of curriculum standards that need to be addressed in order to ensure learning continuity is to deliver quality education even if there is a COVID-19 pandemic, that there will be no learners left behind. The DepEd thought different ways on how to solve this problem. The department has come up with 3 LDMs just to address the issue. In order to achieve this goal, everyone should work hand in hand. All stakeholders should do his or her part. It is not only the job of the teachers, but the department, the school, the parents, and the students as well. This is the concern of everyone in the society. So for question number 2, even prior to the spread of COVID-19 that eventually led to the closure of schools nationwide, the congested curriculum has been a perennial problem of teachers. That's according to Andaya 2018. This is perceived to be one of the hindering factors in the poor performance of Filipino learners. Do you agree with this observation? Why or why not? So my answer there, well, I agree with this. When I thought in DepEd last 2018, I observed that not all listed competencies in the curriculum guide do fit in the capacity of the learners and can be finished in the whole year. I think the previous curriculum is quite heavy for the kids. Now that we have the MELCs that will be implemented this coming school year, I think there are still topics that need to be deleted and topics that need to be included. I'm speaking of the subjects that I taught in the senior high school, subjects like the DIAS, the Ds, the PR1, PR2, UCSP, Polygov, and EAPP. I believe that the DepEd should conduct a study on this. A. Next activity, development and design of MELCs. Question, what are the general and specific purposes of development of MELCs? So the answer, the MELCs is not just a response to addressing the challenges of the current COVID-19 pandemic, but it is also part of the DepEd's long-term response to the call of the SDG 4 to develop resilient education systems, most specifically, or rather especially during emergencies. How does curriculum review aid in the identification of essential learning competencies? So we could do a curriculum review on this. For question number 3, what is the difference between essential learning competencies and desirable learning competencies? As defined by the authors of the LDM2, the essential learning competencies were defined as what the students need, considered indispensable in the teaching learning process to build skills to equip learners for subsequent grade levels and consequently for lifelong learning, while the desirable learning competencies are defined as what may enhance education but may not be necessary in the foundational skills. So for question number 4, how were the most essential learning competencies identified? What were the decisions made in order to trim down the number of the essential learning competencies further? The answer, the number of the identified essential learning competencies per quarter were further reduced. Thus, the term most essential learning competencies or the MELCs was introduced. In determining the criteria for selection of the MELCs, the DepEd collaborated with ACTRC. In the process, it was decided whether the competencies will be merged, dropped, or retrained. So for number 5, what is the importance of the MELCs in ensuring the delivery of quality instruction? My answer, now that the number of learning competencies were reduced in the MELCs, the DepEd is expecting that the quality of education could still be delivered even during this pandemic. Hopefully, the teachers will be able to deliver the quality education expected of us. But I guess this is early to say. Maybe you could have an evaluation of this implementation of the MELCs after this school year. The DepEd could have a post-evaluation of the MELCs after a year of its implementation. This could be a topic for research of teachers since we are the ones implementing this in our classes. Actually, I am planning to conduct an action research on this. Doing research and having the results could help in evaluating the MELCs, for there will be a solid data about this and not just hearsay or theories. For activity 4, unpacking of a sample milk. Actually, during the last session, I presented a video on how to do this, unpacking of a sample milk. And in the video that I prepared, I focus on the subject Ds, or the disciplines and ideas in the social sciences. So here is the picture of the lesson 2, activity 2, unpacking the most essential learning competencies, or the MELCs. Actually, this video is already uploaded in my YouTube channel, Dr. Mitch Rosella. You try to visit and watch the video. And this one, this reflects the comment of my LAC leader. So in this slide, you can see the link for the YouTube channel, specifically the video on unpacking the MELCs. The next slide reflects the comments of my colleagues when I uploaded the video in our Google Classroom. So according to my LAC leader, this is an awesome presentation. Thanks for giving us a glimpse of what has been retained, rephrased, merged, and dropped in your learning area. So I answered there, thanks po, I'm still working on the other assignments. Another colleague said that, well done and well presented, Ma'am Michelle. So again, the response, thanks Ma'am Leslie. So this is, I included this in my portfolio because it shows the appreciation of my colleagues with the video that I've uploaded in our Google Classroom. For Module 3A, Lesson Design and Assessment in the Modalities. Activity 1, Understanding the different learning delivery modalities. The face-to-face learning, the distance learning, the blended learning, and the homeschooling. Actually, these answers, I got it from the LDM Course 2 module. Okay, another question. When you are done, check lesson 1, answer key 1 to see how well you did. And then, which of the LDMs does not have a face-to-face learning component? My answer, online distance learning and homeschooling, I think. So this one, with regard to this distance learning matrix, the ranking of distance learning types, the list of targeted interventions. Actually, I prepared another video on this. So I'm going to upload the video maybe next week or maybe before the end of a week, but to give a more detailed explanation on that topic. Okay, so the next slide, this one, Activity 1, designing lessons and assessments in the different LDMs. So the question, what is lesson designing or lesson planning? Why is lesson designing important? So I have here my answers. For number 3, what are the 3 elements or components of a well-designed lesson? So here's my answer. And then the learning tasks before the lesson, lesson proper after the lesson. So you try to organize everything in these 3 columns. And then lesson design under activity 3. My answer, I decided to use the D subject as an example here in my assignment. Since this is the subject I'm going to teach this first semester for school year 2020-2021. So for activity 3, lesson design, the components of the DLL or DLP. We have the objectives, the content, the learning materials and resources, the procedures, and the remarks and the reflection. I guess due to the request of other colleagues, I can do, or I might do a video on this also for in the future to discuss this in detail. And then for activity 4, learning area presentation. Again, this is being emphasized that I will work on the subject D. For this is the subject that I will teach in the first semester for SY 2020-2021, and I chose ODL, or online delivery mode. Okay, so the lesson topic, defining social sciences as a study of society. I got here the learning objectives, the learning resources, and the learning area presentation, the part of the lesson, check if already present in the SLM, and the remarks. So I guess everything is before, they should be done before the lesson. And then in the lesson proper, here are the items included. And after the lesson, they should be the things that must be done after the lesson. Okay, so for activity 4, learning area presentation, we have the first question about the SLM. Number 2, support that you can give to the learner. Number 3, how can the teacher gather feedback on the different learning tasks? Okay. So according to the my answer here, the teacher can get feedback from the different learning tasks. The teacher could also have an informal talk with the students as well as with the parents and ask them how the students do well in answering the assignments or activities. Okay, here in activity 4, it reflects assessment, Venn diagram, the formative assessment and the summative assessment. And then the various methods of assessment, individual and per learning area output. So it's the assessment method. You have here an example as a short quiz. Mine, I included 1 long test. And number 2, the audio visual or the audio video presentation or the AVR. And then I also included debate. Another one is forum, and number 5 is showcasing their talent. They need to showcase their talent. So if they're good in singing, if they're good in dancing, making writing poems, but take note that it should be in connection with the topic, especially in the D subject. And then there's a self-check quiz. It's also in part of our e-portfolio. And there's also a sample weekly home learning plan for online distance learning. And then another one is the comparison of the WHLP and ILMP. So I got here a sample of individual learning monitoring plan. And the learner's name is Ricardo Dalisay, grade level 11. So this is for the subject Ds. Module 3B, learning resources. So we've got a number of questions here. And you will, of course, definitely you have to answer the questions and include that in your e-portfolio. Okay, there's one question support I can give to my colleagues. My answer, aside from the DepEd provided textbooks and modules, we can also consult other sources online. We need to utilize all the available resources just to get the materials needed for our students. We can compile this and share this with our colleagues. In this time of pandemic, all we have to do is support one another. If I know someone from our school who needs help, I am very much willing to share my knowledge and some technical know-how, especially when it comes to using the Google Classroom and the Moodle platforms as well. Okay, there's another activity as accessing learning resources from DepEd portals. And next one, exploring non-DepEd portal. Of course, you can combine the DepEd learning portals with that of the non-DepEd portals, because at the end of the day, what matters is we have a number of resources that we could serve as a guide, especially when we conduct the teaching already with our students. We should not rely on only one source of information. And then the presentation, activity 4. And then lesson 3, activity 1. For module 4, planning for continuing professional development and LAC planning. In this a particular module, actually, I made a video presentation on how to draft your own individual development plan. So it's here, and actually this one is already uploaded in my YouTube channel, Dr. Mitch Rosella. So please do like, share, and subscribe. Okay. And of course, what else? So there, I also included again the a very positive response of my LAC leader, according to her. Again, this here in this slide also the YouTube channel is being reflected, so you can go and visit this channel. So here is another reply or response coming from my LAC leader. According to her, here is another watch and learn as part of our FGD LAC presentation. Thanks to the kindness of Dr. Michelle Rosella on how to come up with your IDP. So my response, thank you to ma'am. Your comments and suggestions are very much welcome. So yeah. So for module 5, building teaching portfolio, that's actually the final output for our LDM2 course. So here the last part of my e-portfolio, I decided to include the personal reflection. So for the personal reflection, I said here, preparing this e-portfolio is quite difficult, but was fulfilling. Finally done with the final output, my very own e-portfolio. I enjoyed this activity because I was able to learn a lot and practice the things that we might be doing in the future once the class has started this coming October 5, 2020. So I also included my e-signature there. So I guess that's the end of the presentation. And your comments, your suggestions, your additional inputs are very much welcome. So see you again in our next video, and take care. Bye.